everyone, this is Greyshot17, and I was about to go to sleep, but no. I had to play on my Steam Deck, which, yes, I have a Steam Deck, so that will be something maybe popping up in the future. But upon playing a game with my girlfriend, I realized that there were some news updates, and one of which was the mission alpha for the, well, code development. So, yeah, let's take a look at what has been said and what has been updated. Again, this was literally posted, I guess, earlier in the day, but I just found it because I was playing A Plague Tale: Innocence with my girlfriend. So let's see what Relic had to say. And also, hopefully I don't take too much time out of your day. Also my day, because my girlfriend will probably be very angry at me. So if I don't stream on Fan Friday, you know why. Anyway, incredible couple weeks here at Relic. We not only revealed Code 3's North Africa operation, but we also got to see players go hands-on for the first time with the Africa Corps in the Mission Alpha. We want to talk with some of the hot topics you've been sharing with us and what our major takeaways have been. The entire team is working, working hard to make this the biggest and best company heroes game yet. All right, they have 2 campaigns, bunch of multiplayer. So yeah, I could see it why it's being bigger. And we need your feedback, just that, so keep it coming. All right, UI, let's start with that first. All right, there's been discussion about the current direction in the game UI. We're hear you loud and clear. We're working hard to take all your feedback aboard to improve our UI for Code 3 launch date. A lot of work in progress called, but your feedback here is critical in guiding that work over the finish line. That includes several things that have been called out, like the HUD layout, the overall theming, and the minimap. It's important that we find the right balance. This is the top area of focus for us right now. We're working to get locked down ASAP. Next month, we hope to have another update, which will better look at the changes, including some mock-ups. Again, my one thing is, while I am happy that attention is being put onto the UI, no matter what they do, I don't think you're going to appease everyone with this. And my feedback would be make it customizable, so that way players who want a bigger, smaller minimap, move around key aspects of the UI will be able to do so. They have some features that allow that, such as unit icons and also display of like the command point system where you can put points into unlocking stuff. That you can move around. Some other stuff you can't. So if it was me, I would try to make it more customizable. That way you can have more flexibility and more user customization. So that way if the player wants a certain way, it goes better. It's kind of like, honestly, I'm kind of astounded. A lot of PlayStation games have been doing a lot of really, really amazing customizations for controls, feedback. Battlefield, I believe, also typically, let's not talk about 2042, but typically has a lot of features that you can adjust. Halo has a lot of great features that you can adjust a bunch of stuff with how people can read stuff. So again, I just see this as, again, allow more players, more customization options, and that would really, really help, in my personal opinion. But next up, graphics, art, and lighting. Oh boy. The Code franchise has always been well known in cinematic action and attention to detail, and Code 3 is no exception. Work in progress. We've hard at work bringing visual elements in line with what you expect from one of our games. All right. One of the key callouts from players was the current contrast general rebuilding Code 3. Again, before we get into this, it didn't affect me as much, but we'll get into it. I do think that they made the right call with what we're about to see. The art team is currently in the post-alpha polish phase, which means materials are balanced and set more precise rendering. Values which is improve readability and visual fidelity. The team is also champed or limited darks in some cases, like environments, but not set that for effects yet. Again, as the game is progressing, I fully expect additional features, additional lighting, stuff like that. I know a lot of times a game will be like, again, something I think of immediately would be the Spider-Man demo, where they had additional lighting features and reflections that weren't there when the full game released, just because they wanted to hit a certain fidelity upon release, and having those key features would mess with fidelity, so they took them out and then put them back in for the PS5 version because they could have that fidelity. So I get in this situation where they're trying to do exactly what they can. They may have overshot some things, but at least they are correcting it. Let's see. Once completed, this will reduce contrast with effects materials that have not turned on. Lighting has also been tuned to the goal of a variety of lighting conditions, still readable and easy on the eyes. This is ultimately required. AE will be very happy about his eyes, you know. He won't need sunglasses. Requires all the art and balance and tune together, which his team is working on now. This should address the visual hierarchy of not just units on the battlefield, but FX2. Here are some before and after shots of our mission alpha with the material polish and some lighting as an example. So you have the one above, and again, that was in the alpha that we everyone played in, and then we have the beta down below. Okay, so again, they did bring down the color contrast, which does allow for you to pick up a lot more of the texture. We can see here that you can see a lot more of the trails, stuff like that, where up here you can't. So again, I think this is a better situation where you can see a lot more stuff. Again, it's not like desert isn't this bright, I will say that. But if you're looking for better usability and better interface, I feel like people are going to be much more responsive toward this. And I feel like that was the right option, generally. I feel like as soon as you put this art style out more than this, I feel like people are like, it's going to be too cartoony up here, and that's what I've been hearing a lot of, even though I don't get that. But here, I feel like if you compare this to something from Code 2, it is a little brighter and has a lot more color to it, but I feel like people will respond much more to this. Because, again, people can see all the textures, all the details, everything like that. Whereas here, it's hard to see a lot of those details that Relic has put painstakingly into the game. So, again, I feel like this is a good step in the right direction. Again, we have another example right here. And then going further down, again, you can see much more detail. So, I feel like, again, even though this wasn't a huge issue for me, I get why they did this. And I feel like this looks better, and it's kind of like a good middle ground. Or at least bring people closer to what they think of for Company of Heroes, especially if they come from Company of Heroes 2. To me, it reminds me a little bit of Company of Heroes 2. More so, at least to me, than 1 with its art style. But still, again, bringing down, you can definitely see, again, the light here just makes it hard to see the detail. And then here you can absolutely see the detail in the path and everything like that. So a good step in the right direction for readability and everything else in terms of environment, seeing all the little details, all that stuff. Really, really cool. Also better for screenshots, such as here. We have a shot of the armor, and then we have another shot here. My one concern, though, right, is we can see here the armor sticks out a lot more with the contrast, with the sand, right? Here, to me, it starts blending in a little more to me. It's still, you can still see it, and again, it's great because you can see over here the rock, stuff like that. Again, just really nice. But it is something to where you could see that possibility of some stuff starting to blend into the background, because it is the light kind of helped make that armor stick out a lot more, where here, again, it does start to blend in a little bit more. Just something that I feel like someone might bring up, or something that is a counterpoint that I do want to address. Another issue was with the minimap. I believe it was the contrasting colors. And yeah, here it's a lot brighter. Here it's, again, a lot just more darker. So it's a little easier to go back and forth on there. Again, a lot of these buttons, stuff like that, I still think you can move around. For example, a lot of this you can truncate, you can make this a little bit bigger, and a lot of these buttons you can have as options. That's just me, though. Especially because a lot of them are hotkeys that you can set to. But overall, I do think that this is a good direction. I think this is very good, and I think will appease a lot of players and make a lot of people hopefully stop saying this looks like a cartoon. I don't agree with that statement, but I feel like this is a good adjustment to make people say, okay, this looks pretty damn sweet. But hey, let me know what you guys think down below. Controls and camera. We know customization, the player experience, both for comfort and accessibility, is incredibly important. Thank you. When it comes to fully customizable key bindings and fully customizable options, we've been working hard in collaboration with our sister teams at Relic for quite some time now. If you take a look at some of the updates from other teams released, you should get a good sense of the direction we've headed in. I'm assuming they're talking about Age of Empires 4. If they're talking about like sister teams, that would be my guess on that. But again, that's just my thought process. When it comes to seeing, unless, no, I mean, my only other thing, right, and I'm just pointing this out there, is I don't know this because I don't play a lot of Warhammer, but I know Creative Assembly does and Relic do have some feedback behind with each other. Again, they had multiple competitions in the past, and Creative Assembly again and Relic have made plenty of RTS game stuff in the past. From again, you have Age of Empires to Warhammer, the Total War series, all those 3 games plus the other Total War games, plus of course like Halo Wars 2, all sorts of stuff, right? So my one concern is Halo Wars 2 had a notorious key binding system, one that the great Total Biscuit had a heart attack over. So yeah, let's just make sure that we put key bindings in, but we don't make it stressful for the player. So anyway, but yeah, if you want to look at a great video, the Total Biscuit and the Key Bindings from Hell, I think is the name of the video. It's pretty funny. It's pretty funny, and I highly recommend that. But anyway, let's get to this. We know some players feel that something's off about the current camera height in Code 3, and we totally agree. We have some major changes coming that will have a big impact on how the game looks and feels. Our maps in Code 3 have significantly more elevation changes, and I can see that being an issue. If the elevation's higher and the camera stays the same, you're going to feel closer, more claustrophobic. And currently, the tuning of the zoom levels still needs applied across all meshes of the map. Once it's implemented, we should make Code 3 look and feel more like what you expect. Once you see how these changes behave in game, we'll have a better sense if this needs fine-tuning. With increased elevation changes across Code 3, it's important to note the camera height will never be a one-to-one comparison with Code 1 or Code 2. That is fair. Elevation does change how the camera would look, so I'm curious to see how far it will be. Again, I like my strategic zoom mode for doing replays. I don't care about that camera when I'm actually playing the game because I do feel it's a bit more of a detriment. But, well, anyway, the mesh fix will also help with general readability across the board. We're paying close attention to players saying about the months ahead. That's cool. And again, I like how it seems like they are listening to feedback and they're quickly making changes to make sure. People are like, oh, I saw content creators say, because I tried to look at a variety of content creators, and there were a couple that were incredibly negative. Like, Relic is not going to change the game. How the alpha is right now is how the game is going to release, and obviously we can see that is simply not the case. So that's good. In international representation, factions, and theaters. Oh boy, this is going to be a fun one. The Mediterranean was one of the most diverse theaters in World War II. Yeah. With nations from all over the globe answering the call and playing their part. One of the most exciting aspects of the period is being able to draw on and share these incredible stories. We have tons of ways to do this across the entire Code 3 experience, including through our narrative, factions, battle groups, blah, 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 blah. Oh, wait, actually, hold on, not blah. Factions, okay, so that's like the austere, the Americans, the British, sorry. Battle groups, which is the commanders in them. Expansion, we already know from the $70 version of the game. Well, no, $80 version of the game that there's gonna be like a $20 expansion of something. There's a season, which I'm assuming again, when I see a season, my immediately thought process right now is like Halo Infinite. Is, I know Fortnite and all these other games are doing it, but still Halo is just the one I play with a season. Fall Guys even has a season, but essentially it's a content you work for to unlock stuff. I'm assuming that's what it is. Modes and more. That's cool that they actually would add new modes, because Code 2 had, well, the base mode, which was fun, but it was just a base mode that you would play with, so them actually adding more modes could be interesting. International representation is incredibly important to us. We've already teased several units from the Commonwealth and the Africa Corps that help boost their ranks. Another thing we've heard you on is wanting to see more and more of the Italians. Everyone wants to see the Italians until they see performance. I know. Immediately someone's gonna say Greyshot's slamming the Italians. No, I'm just saying, majority of their battles due to a number of factors, they did not perform very well and never really got that comeback. We plan on working with our players to grow Code 3 for years to come. And building our Italian representation will be a strong focus as we move forward. We've seen some phenomenal feedback, suggestions, and ideas from players for new factions and fronts to bring to Code 3. People bring in fronts already? It's like, we have North Africa and Italy. But what about Turkey? What about Spain? I'm already just imagining like an alternate history of what if Spain joins the war. Let's just throw in that front. No, to be completely honest, I would assume that they would possibly look at maybe the North African theater in 41 or 40. There's Greece. That would be a very cool front. Yugoslavia could be interesting. I know it's not directly on the Med per se, but again, it is close enough where I could see something play a part there. Maybe even like a theater of war section where you have just a handful of missions. That could be cool. Or Yugoslavian partisans. There were tons of activity where literally there were German armies up to like 100,000 fighting Yugoslavian partisans. You could do the Soviet advance into the Balkans, all sorts of stuff you could do in the Med. And plus, we don't know how long the Italian campaign will go for and end. Like, for example, in Co 1, which I just played, it goes from D-Day to the Fillet Pocket. So that's only a small part of France because you don't get to, liberating France. Eventually, DLC came for the British. And then Code 2, you got Ardennes Assault, which dealt with the Battle of the Bulge. But that's a lot of battles and stuff going on just from June 1944 all the way to, again, the beginning of 45, right? So if you're adding all that stuff into it, right, that's a lot of different stuff happening, which is why I give greater credit to the Greeks, a Yugoslavian situation, stuff like that. So anyway, let's get back to this. Let's see, where was I? All right, and right now everything's on the table as we explore our options. Does that mean if the B4 comes back, I'll be happy. I will be very happy if the B4 comes back. I don't even care if it's a captured German commander unit. I don't, just bring the B4 back. That's my hope. Anyway, rest assured that anything coming post launch will feel fair for all players. I know people are like, oh, new DLC, it's going to be overpowered. To be fair, a lot of times a DLC is overpowered. Sometimes, again, developers will make it overpowered so that people will buy it. There's others that it's just like a new thing, so it's hard to balance until you get a ton of players playing it, and then you kind of figure out what their playstyle is, and then you balance it out. So a little give and take there. We've committed to this ongoing conversation with our code development for over the years. We're also incredibly proud of the work the team has done to launch a code game, and we're with more factions and units than we've ever have at launch. To be fair, that is true. They have 4 factions compared to the Soviet and the Austere and Code 2, and the Americans and the base Germans, not the was it elite Germans or the elite was the Panzer Elite, I think is what the name was, and the British for Co 1 that was eventually added. So yeah, that is true. They do have the most. Now the question is, how much are they adding per faction? That's going to be interesting. Is it going to be 4 factions but very limited on commanders and stuff? That's going to be interesting to see. Anyway, so right now we got ourselves let's see. Oh, okay, so let's just go into this. An example of some Italian units coming at launch, including, again, we already saw the infantry, right? Let's see, we have, so we have additional infantry. The Bersaglieri, which I guess are these guys with the cool hats. Very nice. Always could use another unit with an amazing hat. Anyway, we got the L640 light tank, the smart assault gun, which, to be fair, I believe the Italians preferred that assault gun comparatively to their normal tanks because it's low. Again, from what I recall, and what fun fact, Timecode did actually a great video about going over Italian armor, and also German armor, along with Allied armor in 41 and 42. So I recommend that for additional info. But yeah, they essentially talked about the what's it called? That armor, because it was a little bit lower to the ground, it was harder for the allies to see it. So it was easier for them to blend in and fire. It wasn't the best, but I believe it had better performance than their actual like frontline tanks. All right, so and then while I was talking about that, I can also bring up the let's see here. We got a howitzer, so that's cool. So there will be a mobile howitzer you can bring in. It does look like it has wheels, so I'm not sure if that's like a buildable thing, kind of like the LEFH from Code 2, or if it's movable. Movable would be interesting. Having them actually be able to push that. I feel so bad for those guys. Pushing that, or actually a half track could do it. Moving the artillery in the back, I think would be very, very cool to see. Yeah, that would be very awesome to see. And then you could reposition it, because that's the problem with Code 2 is you would build an LFH but you can't move it. The B4 technically as well you can build. It has wheels, so it is weird. In that case, you can't move it. Anyway, but we also have the M4013. Now, unless I'm mistaken, and I want to make sure I get this correct, let's see. There were quite a number of those tanks. They weren't, how do I put this? They weren't exactly the best in terms of medium tanks, because yeah, that's what I thought. So they were based on the Vickers 6-ton, which is this, I believe it's this thing right here, right? So this is the L640, you got the assault gun, and then you have this one. The problem with this tank is, again, it's kind of like, yeah, it's like, it's a medium tank, but really it's more of a light tank. Sort of kind of feel it's like a better light tank, but it's not really meant like. So what I'm assuming is this thing is probably going to be cheaper than like a Panzer III, but it's not going to be as strong as a Panzer III, but it'll still be cheaper and more cost effective, I assume. Again, I think that it's not, I don't think it'll be bad by any stretch of the imagination, but yeah, I'm curious to see how this goes. Because again, that's it. Again, it is still like a good that it's, sorry. Let me rephrase. It's still good that the Italians have it, but I feel like people were like decrying, like, oh, where's the Italian medium tank that's like super, like the awesome prototype? You're not. I don't think you're gonna get that. What you will get is more historically accurate to an extent. Italian tank that were more commonly used. It may not be the best, but I could easily see this being like a advanced light tank you can deploy as the Germans that can effectively hold out. Maybe, especially maybe like more defensive, because that's where I know these tanks were, or like a lot of the Italian vehicles were better on the defense rather than offensive. Maybe that will be the case. It does have cool. We can actually see here, unless I'm mistaken, is that a double like pintle machine gun here, as well as the Italian gun on top. Again, some like aspects you can see, like why is like, oh, they don't have the machine gun up top. Again, kind of some stuff that they used what they got, so that's what they had. So I could easily see here infantry attacks from the side possibly being an issue for this tank, since it can't really move its machine gun past its front. But it is cool. It is cool that it is being used, and it's nice that it's being brought to the table. So those who are concerned that the Italians won't be shown at all can rest a little easier, knowing that there are going to be a handful of Italian units in the Afrika Korps, or there'll be a major part in the Afrika Korps, which again makes sense, as well the Afrika Korps was supported by the Italians. Again, I stress this, the Afrika Korps was the spearhead, the Italians were support. So the fact that they have these support units for the Afrika Korps to do what they do in North Africa, especially during the campaign, I think will be a really cool feature. Now, are there going to be more? That's my hope. Unless I'm mistaken, you have the M4114, I think. Let's see. I want to say that was a tank in North Africa, unless I am 100% mistaken. Yeah, it was deployed in North Africa. Following the withdrawal of the Italian force from Africa, it was rarely encountered. Well, if it's rarely encountered, that means in co-history it can still be encountered. And they did build 700 of them, so there's absolutely enough of them to make it, better. And again, this would just be a better version. I think this would probably, if I'm assuming if they did bring up the 41, it would probably be a more suitable medium tank. that wasn't a more of a, that, you know, could be, how do I put this? That could, I would say, would probably be a lot better, right? In terms of combat effectiveness. But again, for what that is, I'm glad the Italians do have one of their, I do air quotes medium. It's really more of a, it's definitely more of an advanced light tank, but still, I'm glad it's there. Anyway, let's see. Let's get to the end. As always, our team is incredibly excited to be working with the community and deliver the best Company for experience in the franchise. Your continued feedback and support are key parts of the process. Not only do we plan to deliver an amazing experience right out of the gate, but we're also in it for the long haul. So you expect even more cool stuff from the team from the years to come. That's nice. Okay, so they do want to reassure people, hey, we're not just going to drop this and leave. So that's positive. But hey, that's everything that I got. I am tired, so sorry if this has been a little bit all over the place. But hey, I do want to know, what do you guys think? I think this is a good step in the right direction. I'm glad they addressed this. Maybe again, Relic, you don't have to do it right as I'm going to bed, or you know, just point it out there. I would like to get some sleep, but no, it's fine. I'll make sure this video is out to let people know in a reasonable state of time. My girlfriend will probably kill me, but that's fine. Hey, as long as you guys get some good information. That's what matters. That is exactly what matters. But I'm excited for more Italian units. I'm excited that, again, for the art style that people hopefully won't be blinded. So no one has to worry about becoming Daredevil, although that would be pretty cool. But yeah, no, I'm excited to see what additional changes they bring. And I'm excited to see what other stuff they have to showcase. But anyway, this has been Greyshot117. Again, a little more excited for Company for Heroes 3. Hopefully you guys are as well. If not, again, leave your comments down below and I'll try to read those. But anyway, I'll see you guys next time. Hello everyone, before y'all go, let's give a special shout out to Patreon supporters: Aphyria, Joey G240, Little Chauge, Milam, tonybee, Pyroshark, XSomeToolx, and Epic Pleb. Thank you all for your incredible support and helping me grow my channel and allowing me to keep doing what I do. So thank you. This has been Greyshot, his amazing patrons, and I'll see you all next time.